to all. First of all, many thanks for the invitation. And I apologize for not expressing very well in French. But you can ask the questions in French if you want. Do you see my screen? Can you confirm?
Yes, we do.
Okay, thanks very much. So this atelier is based on the solarisation of production sites. Basically, is to add in order to produce energy that sites need to extract the gas. Is to add or replace the energy production by solar PV. I will make first of all a small introduction of EFASEC. Basically, EFASEC is a Portuguese-based company. We are in 65 countries. We are involved in 3 fields of business: energy, environment, and transportation and mobility. Basically, we have 2 kind of businesses. Products. We are a manufacturer of products like power transformers, medium voltage switchgear, energy automation products. And then as well, we are a system integrator, an EPC contractor of several systems in high voltage substations, solar PV plants, of course, and then environmental systems, like waste disposal plants, biogas, and then in transportation and some systems related with the railways and metro systems. Some of these offer of EFASEC, we already have references in Algérie. We are in Algérie more than since 1990. We have a company since 2005, and as I told, we already have been involved in, for example, as EPC contractor for substations in Algeria, water treatment plants, and as well supplier of transformers and medium voltage switchgear. So we are not. We know very well the market, and we hope very soon to go to the solar PV market in Algeria. Basically, this is a small glance of what is the purpose. Honestly, when I started to work on renewables about 15 years ago, the solar PV, in order to have a financial feasibility, we had to receive the incentives of subsidies from the governments, or from the in last case from the consumers. In our days, with the spread of the technology, with the maturity of the technology, the cost of doing a solar PV plant is so low that is already competitive with the normal sources of producing electricity, like gas, diesel, or even coal. And one of the advantage is that they don't have the solar PV don't have this problem of the fossils, that they are clean. They don't emit the carbon for the atmosphere. Of course, they not yet can replace in everything the fossils, but the purpose is, as they are so much competitive, now we can basically in the sites of this extraction of the gas, we can that have as you know, you have needs to in order to very high needs of consumption of electricity to do this extraction. We can replace, or at least part replace, with the solar PV to reduce the costs of the extraction. And of course, instead of burning gas, you can export even more, because solar is a natural resource that you have lots in Algérie. You have very high radiation levels, and is a natural resource that you can use free of charge. So this is the purpose of the main presentation and of course of this slide. And this again, this is a small a small graph of the savings that we can have. Of course, the savings are during the daylight, because the solar PV, the photovoltaics PV, the PV panels don't produce yet during the night, but we already have a solution of adding the storage systems. Of course, for example, we can add even more power during in the system, in order to, during the day, we supply the extraction and we store as well some energy. But as well, we can keep, because most part of the systems that you have already in extraction sites already had been placed, and most of them, many of them are still recent investments, and we can keep of them. The purpose is not full replace. The purpose is to make a small transition and of course save some money and have financial feasibility. One of the advantage of doing this, of course, of the economy, that is the main advantage that I already talked about, is that we can very easily do this integration because solar PV is very modular, and we already have some, at least in FASEC, we have already softwares that can do the optimization and management of the whole system, in order to have the best cost and efficiency of the system between, for example, gas and solar PV. And this is some of that advantage. I have here a slide, and I apologize first of all, because this slide is based on an example based on diesel, but we can more or less do because diesel was from a real example that we have, not in Algeria but in Venezuela. But we can very easily do the similars. We can transpose for the gas. So this is basically, we installed a 20 megawatt solar PV plant in a site that needs about 16 megawatts during the day. 25 megawatts of solar PV, then 20 of nominal. But this is basically because normally we oversize the PV panels, the power of the PV panels, because normally we don't have we don't have all the radiation in the maximum. So we oversize in order to have 20 megawatts of nominal. Okay. And we need for this more and less 70 hectares, but this depends. But normally we have a short calculation. If you want, for example, 10 hectares, we need more and less 10 megawatts of installed capacity. We need more and less 25 hectares. But of course, in this case, we needed more because the area had some slopes, we needed to add some roads, and so on, so on, so on. So this is during the night, basically the early morning, very early morning, more or less at 2 a.m. So at this hour is because we don't have sun. All the gen sets are working full power, and of course, who is doing this, and I already explained it, is at least in FSEC, but other companies have other systems similar. Is the management system that controls, dynamically controls the system. And this is something that, so the solar PV is not working at this time. So at 7 a.m., as we already have sun, we already have 8.5 megawatts of solar working. So, and the gensets of the diesel gensets are not currently already working with 7.5 megawatts. So it's not, they are still basically we have a 50-50 balance. But we already have savings, at least from diesel. In your case, gas. At midday, full power for PV, and the gensets are working at just on the minimums. So this is something that, so we are already saving the most part of the diesel in this part of the day. And of course, at 5 p.m., as we already on the noon, and so on the sunset, we already at 5 p.m. we already have, so we don't have so much. We have just 4 megawatts of solar PV working, and 12 of diesel. Of course, if we had in this system storage, and we didn't size any storage, the diesel was working less. We know that something that as we have we are as well specialists in fossil energies, electricity production. I know that diesel and even gas turbines, they still have to work a minimum, but in order to don't have any kind of problems of the system availability and so on. But we can size the system in order to not have this. In this case of Venezuela projects, they ask us to have at least the diesel generators working, some part of always working, at least a minimum. And this is the last slide because it was, and just to show you in this example, so we can produce almost 45 gigawatt hours per year. And during 25 years, we have more than 1,000 gigawatt hours. That is the equivalent per year of 10,000 houses, the consumption of 10,000 houses. And we have, of course, economies on the sites for the gas. And I make a small calculation of almost the economies that we have during 25 years. Even for gas. Of course, this is a short calculation because I'm a renewable guy. I'm not a specialist on gas. You know more than me than in this part. And I made some rough calculation of the savings of emissions of dioxide carbon. That is more 15,000 tons of less per year. Then we have some references in FSEC. We have plus the 400 megawatts of reference on solar PV turnkey projects in 14 countries. These are the few examples that we have. So we built already in Science Dubai and in Chile. The project that I explained in Venezuela, we didn't move forward because of the well-known problems of Venezuela with the problems of the financials of Venezuela, but we have the project on hold, and we are still continue to talk with PDVSA. So you are now free to ask any questions that you might have, and I will try to answer to you.
Felipe, I have one question. Are those solar panels installed on the ground or on the roof, you know, the top of the buildings, or can they be installed anywhere? Yes,
they can be installed anywhere. Of course, in the roofs, we have some limitations of the space. For example, in this project in Dubai, that is in Jebel Ali, that is where the DEWA, that is the utility of Dubai, have 9 gigawatts of combined cycle power plants. And below of this roof, we have water from the desalination system. And in this roof, we have 1.8 megawatts. Of course, we have, as you can see, the panels, they are in place in a way that we can optimize the limitations that we have in area. But yes, we can install in roofs, lands, and even in water. We have a project in the oil refinery here in Portugal. They have a big water reservoir, and
so they're floating solar panels, offshore. They're based offshore. Okay, thank you.
More questions? Even in French.
Ou em português, se quiser. Boa tarde, Fabiano.
Boa tarde.
I have one question. With all of your experience on the countries, you've shown some examples. How do you see Algeria fitting on this, knowing the temperatures during the night, knowing everything? So for you, it's a good candidate compared to other regions?
Okay. Comparing with other regions, for example, comparing with Europe, Algeria have more radiation than Europe, of course. Mm-hmm. What is the problem, for example, of Algeria with this project that we built in Chile? This project in Atacama Desert. The desert of Atacama have better conditions for solar PV than the desert, the desert, for example, that you have in Algeria. Because the low temperatures, the solar PV panels don't react well with high temperatures. But we can circumvent this with oversizing, and of course with the very high levels of radiation. That is something that and available space where we can add a tracking system, basically, as we have here in the project of Chile. The PV panels move during the day in order to optimize to catch the radiation that we have at the available hour. So we follow the sun during the day. But yes, Algeria have very high values of radiation. The negative part is the high values that we have during the day. But I will say that on the beginning of the day and in the end of the day that we still have radiations, we are in perfect conditions to produce energy.
Okay, globally speaking, yes, it's a good candidate to fit. Okay, thank you.
Oui, j'ai un petit commentaire et peut-être une question pour M. Herzog. Tout à l'heure, j'ai parlé du plan de l'Algérie d'avoir 16 gigawatts en énergie renouvelable en 2035. Sur ces 16 gigawatts, le plan est d'avoir 1,3 gigawatt de solarisation des sites de production. C'est une centaine de sites qui seraient solarisés, c'est-à-dire que, tel que l'explication qu'on vient d'avoir, donc il serait le remplacement que l'énergie serait fournie par le solaire. Est-ce que Total a un projet dans ce sens sur certains de ces sites pour aider l'Algérie à mettre en place pour tester les solutions et accélérer le processus? C'était une question que je pose à M. Herzog, s'il est là. Il me semble que oui. Oui.
Oui, je peux. Oui, alors. Ouais, comme vous l'a précisé, oui, tout à l'heure, vous avez pu le voir avec le changement de nom entre voilà, Total et Total, qui est devenu Total Énergie. En effet, la compagnie a un appétit grandissant pour ces projets solaires. Et en particulier donc dans les pays désertiques.
Bertrand, vous pouvez parler un peu plus fort, s'il vous plaît, ou vous rapprocher de votre micro?
Oui, Total Energy a un appétit grandissant sur tous les projets solaires, que ce soit en Afrique du Nord ou au Moyen-Orient, où ces projets peuvent être liés en effet avec des projets d'extraction pétrolière, et je reviens sur l'exemple irakien que je citais précédemment, un projet où il y a un projet de récupération de gaz torché et aussi qui est lié à un projet de photovoltaïque. Donc aujourd'hui, Total Energy, en effet, via ses partenariats avec Sonatrach, est en discussion pour voir comment ce type de schéma pourrait être applicable en Algérie. Après, voilà, comme vous le mentionnez, aujourd'hui, c'est des choses aujourd'hui assez préliminaires. En particulier au niveau de la réglementation, le canevas réglementaire aujourd'hui en Algérie n'est pas encore fixé très clairement sur tous ces projets solaires, qu'ils soient des projets solaires purs ou bien des projets intégrés dans des usines existantes. Donc voilà, c'est un axe de travaux aujourd'hui. On réfléchit à différents projets, mais voilà, c'est un niveau on va dire qu'on est en train de maturer les projets et que c'est quelque chose de très préliminaire.
Est-ce qu'il y a des projets déjà identifiés ou...
Non, il n'y a pas de projet clairement identifié. On est sur des phases vraiment très préliminaires.
Est-ce qu'il y a une visibilité, une feuille de route en nous disant que, par exemple, il y aura un premier site pilote dans 2-3 ans?
Non, on n'a pas ces infos.
D'accord. Très bien. En tout cas, ça nous intéresse évidemment d'avoir cette information le plus tôt possible.
J'ai une question pour Felipe. Quels sont les freins constatés dans les sites de production, donc auprès des responsables, notamment des sites de production que vous avez équipés en solarisation? Quels sont les freins qui ont été exprimés, auxquels vous êtes confrontés au démarrage, avant de conclure les projets? Qu'est-ce qui peut faire freiner en fait la décision? quelles sont les difficultés donc, que vous avez vues sur ce sujet?
Okay. Normally, they don't. I will answer in English because for his.
Yeah, go ahead
very,
in English.
Okay, thanks. From my experience, not in Algeria, these people of the sites normally they want almost 100% of availability of the system.
100% of what? Sorry.
Availability, disponibility, and they want a very reliable system. And when we arrive and show you, look, we are appearing with a technology that we don't have yet much experience. It's something new. Even the solar PV plants are something that we have at least with the utility size since more or less 2005. And the first commentary that they have is why I need to replace something that I have already is working at full pace. We don't have any problem, and if my people, my directors in the headquarters are telling me that I must save that I must save some money, please don't come from the energy, because I need the energy to extract gas. Is the first commentary that they have. Of course, it's a discussion, and we started to show you that is a new technology, and we can have advantage even for them on the point of view of reliability with the storage system. Because, for example, if they have a problem on the frequency of in the synchronism of the system with just gas, for example, with the frequency, with the voltage, with the flicker, for example, on the sinusoid of the system, on the sinusoids of the system, a combined cycle PV plant, combined cycle gas plant cannot react quickly to the system, and they can basically they can have a failure on the system. In the solar PV, if we have a storage system on the very quickly in the milliseconds, they can react. And we started to explain to these people that, okay, this is new technology, but with some engineering, we can even increase your reliability of the system. That's your question is quite good, and because is basically the problem of the currently we don't have yet more, because it's a chicken and egg problem, because normally we have this and we must unblock this hesitation of the people that are managing the sites.
Vous avez mis en...
Sorry. Jean-Pierre.
Une question juste complétée, après tu poses la tienne. Felipe, vous avez installé, donc, vous avez équipé des sites de production dans plusieurs pays, d'accord? Est-ce qu'il y avait des incentives mis en place par notamment les autorités locales pour inciter, pour encourager les sites de production à s'équiper, à aller vers la solarisation?
Yes.
Vous pouvez être précis, vous pouvez donner un exemple là-dessus?
For example, we are working not describing very with detail, because we are under
NDA.
non-disclosure agreement, yes, an NDA. But in Argentina, they have as well many sites of extraction of gas near the border with Chile. and they have very high costs with diesel and gas and so on. And the government is imposing some restrictions and giving some incentives, like providing with some tax rebates and on doing this kind of investments. As far as I know, they are installing some of these systems very successfully. Not yet, not more, because Argentina still is facing as well some crisis, but we are working with a well-known oil company as well on this, and is international. And so we are working on this, and I hope next year we will have news. Other country that is as well working on this, but in other level, is Mozambique. And so this is something that the government is giving incentives on this.
Tax rebates also.
Tax rebates, no.
Felipe, if we're talking about the local manpower in the local content, globally, what is the level of expertise and technology for the installation and the maintenance of those sites? Are you using local people, or can you train local people?
As much as possible. In any country, we have two moments on the investments. The capex is that means that the moment of building the solar PV plant, and then the second moment that is opex, that is we do operation and maintenance. Operation and maintenance normally is almost services, and solar PV don't requires many equipments during operation. And we can say that we have more and less 95% of people involved in the operation and maintenance are local people, even for more skilled works, like to handle with power electronics. The first moment, the building, we try as much as possible to use local people. And I can tell you that, for example, in this moment, we are building in a 41 megawatt solar PV plant in Mozambique, in the north. More and less nearby is in the same region that, for example, Total is investing in as well in the extraction from gas in the offshore gas that is currently stopped because the problems of Mozambique during to security problems.
Is it in Palma or Pemba?
In Pemba. Is near the
Pemba.
Project that we are, yes, the project that we are building is about in the interior of Pemba, more or less a little bit for 50 kilometers from Pemba, Metoro. And we are using at this moment in the peak of the works, we have more or less 300 persons working there, and 75% are local, or Mozambican locals as well. Okay, and most part of the contracts that we perform, we are used to have requirements of local content and local workforce. Is more easy local workforce than the local content, because for example, many local content, for example, for PV panels and for power electronics is more difficult to set up, because normally these products are produced in Europe or in China. But at least local workforce, yes.
So this is reassuring, knowing of the level of education and technology of Mozambique, that you are actually able to use, the local workforce.
Yes.
So that's quite good. Okay, so it means that it's you can copy and paste and do it in various countries.
Yes. For example, and we have experience in Algérie, in other kind of fields of business of FASEC. We always use the local workforce and local content as most as possible. And of course, in Algérie, even more easy, for example, comparing with Mozambique, because we have more skilled persons than comparing with Mozambique. We're very much, and the industry is more developed than in Mozambique. But we can adapt it very easily. Let me giving a last example. Projects in South Africa. South Africa set up a very developed system of local content and local workforce with the contracts, with the scoreboards and so on, to requiring that the investors had to fulfill the scoreboards, basically telling, I will use 70% of local workforce. Some competitors of mine told to the investors, oh, I will use 75% of workforce, thinking that then, okay, nobody will care about this. But in the end, they brought some people from Europe, from China, from India, not so expensive, and they had problems because as the South Africa required to comply with these local rules, you had to comply, and they had the fiscalization for that. And this is for us is very acceptable, and what I advise for Algérie is to have, if they want to set up a system of local content and local workforce, you must then, is not for to just say I want this, but then you have to fiscalize during the execution.
Felipe, vous avez une expérience en Algérie concrète? Vous avez fait quelque chose déjà?
In solar, no. But we already, in Algérie, we already built high voltage substations for Oil&Gas, as far as I remember. We set up the energy automation system in the grid as well. We built water treatment plants in Algérie as well, waste disposal plants as well, and of course we already supplied many systems for many products for in the part of power transformers, switchgear. And lastly, in transportation, I suppose that we already supply telecommunication systems for the local transportation companies, like the railway company, and so we have references in Algérie. Not in solar. I hope soon.
There is a question, Felipe, from Malika. Where are produced the solar panels that are installed on your various sites, of your various projects?
Currently, and with some pity of mine, in China. Most part of the PV panels producers are based in China. Of course, for example, some countries set up plants of PV panels, but they are on the last part of the chain. For example, we have factories in, as far as I know, in Morocco, in Tunisia, even in Egypt, but they are, for example, just putting the frame, the aluminum frame, and basically the finished PV panel comes from China. If you want, Algérie wants to be on the whole chain of the production of PV panels, you have to make very big investments that, with the competitiveness of China, will be very difficult to have this financial feasibility of the project. Of course, currently China is raising the prices because they control the market, and that's why I told you that is a pity for me. They are controlling the prices, and for example, currently in Europe, we already have some kind of reaction from some countries like Spain of subsidize the investment of construction of PV models plants in order to not have this dependency of China. But very honestly, currently from China, to answer to your question.
Okay. Thank you, Felipe. There is another question from Adam. What about the water consumption used to clean the PV panels?
Very good question. Of course, we use water, but for example, in the project that we have in Atacama, we still perform the operation and maintenance, and they have a limitation of water as well. What we use is we bring water and we try to save as much as possible water during operation and maintenance. Normally, we clean 2 times a year, but we are doing okay, and as well in this project in Dubai, that we, beside the dust from the sand, we have a problem with the salinity that is even more difficult. We use water, and we are starting to insert a chemical component that is not don't warm the nature as well. That can very easily clean without warm. In matter of fact, is a product from a Portuguese company, Chimitec, but is we are always to try to save as much as possible water. But for example, in Dubai, without any problems in the production of energy, we clean 2 times a year.
Did I hear well that you have a corrosion problem with the corrosion on some of the installation because of the
No, because when we do the design of the PV plants, we go to we study the conditions of the site. For example, this site what we built in Dubai, that is they have very harsh conditions. For example, they had salt problem because it's an installation near the sea. They have a problem of acid sulfuric because of we have a very harsh environment with this acid because of the combined cycle power plants, and then the dust of the desert as well, because it helps. And what we done during the design, we basically designed the structures, the mounting structures, the metallic structures that support the PV panels to face these harsh conditions, and even as well the PV panels. The PV panels are manufactured in glass, silica, that don't have problems of this kind of. Then they have a small frame with aluminium, but aluminium normally don't have the problem. So we don't have problems with corrosion. It's a matter of design of the plant.
Sure, thank you. D'autres questions? En français ou en anglais?
Oui.
Ou en portugais?
Oh, sim.
Okay.
Non, pas d'autres.
Alors, it might be a bit premature. How long have you been installing these solar panels? What is the oldest site, Felipe, in the world?
With more than 1 megawatt is a site that was installed in Germany, I suppose in 1996. And is still working as far I know. And so with more than 1 megawatt, of course, with older than below 1 megawatt, we even still have systems. For example, in Switzerland, that very recently I saw a news in the newspaper, an article that a system in Switzerland with 25 kilowatts that was working since 1980. Okay, in FASEC, our oldest system was built in 2008 and is still working perfectly. Either was a system of 6 megawatts and very near Lisbon, and the degradation of the PV panel. So the degradation means that every year the plant produces less because of the degradation of the PV panels, are quite above our expectations.
Okay, thank you. So there is no decommissioning of sites at the moment.
No,
or maybe
no,
with
no. They are built. They are built to have a duration of a time life of 30 years.
Okay. Thank you. D'autres questions?
Just a short one, maybe you already answered to that. The range we should start. We can think about solar panels in terms of minimum, maximum. You know, just the magnitude. It's also back to what you already supplied or what exists in the world. But a range, okay, that's a good thing to think about solar panels. The smallest unit to the biggest one, you know, kind of a range magnitude.
I don't understood quite clear your question.
Ok, qual é a potência que se pode pensar a falar no solar? Mínimo, máximo?
Okay, I understood. So the maximum power that we have for solar is unlimited. We already have plants, for example, in Dubai, not in Dubai, but in Abu Dhabi, with 1 gigawatt. So it's very modular, it's very scalable. Even we can design, for example, here in Portugal, we have a project that we finished last year of 49 megawatts. Even I can show you the picture. This one that we built with 49 megawatts, and now we are adding more than 23 megawatts, and a very well oil company called B and ends with B is planning to make a project of 200 megawatts around this plant. So we can always add more power, and we don't have a limit to the
space on the area and footprint.
Yes, the limit is the space, of course, is yes, and of course the grid as well.
Felipe, une question
some
sur...
other alternative technologies don't make more sense to.
Sorry, an alternative technology that makes more sense, but an alternative.
This was me before. I think was Jean-Pierre Commando. Yes, it's all about the footprint you can have available, etc. The max capacity, but it's also any other technology that make more sense to deploy there instead of solar, so on the project or whatever? Okay.
No, I can answer. Of course, we always had, for example, still in solar, the solar thermal technology that uses as well. Is not the PV, based on the silicium technology, on the transaction of electrons with the radiation, but based on the of heating the water or other kind of fluid. The solar Algérie have a very high levels of radiation, and you have suitable conditions for solar thermal. Honestly speaking, we have countries, we tried to develop this technology. Some countries developed it a lot, especially Spain and and United States. But solar thermal have some limitations because the technology have some problems of feasibility, even, for example, to achieve very high levels of heating. And second, they have problems of operation and maintenance. The costs are very high.
Felipe, une question sur l'investissement qui est nécessaire. Comment dimensionner un investissement pour un industriel s'il veut donc adopter une solution de solarisation? Comment il peut savoir ce que ça va lui coûter?
Okay, is quite easy. Is like you have, imagine that you have your home, and you have every month you have to pay the electricity bill, and you are as your utility proposed to you to install a solar PV system at your home, self-consumption. They will make, and you currently have a tariff that you paid every month to the utility, and making this investment of solar PV at her home you will have an investment that you can transpose for LCOE. Basically, is the tariff of the PV panel based on calculation of the capex and the opex, and this LCOE, the tariff from the solar PV, must be lower than your currently tariff, of course, in order to have savings. In a solar site, extraction is the same thing in a very big scale. So what we need to is we have to have access to the consumption of the system every hour of the year, basically, or at least a monthly consumptions, and we will we will make a calculation of the costs of burning gas, and then we will size the system, the solar PV system, in order to have the lowest to have a lower tariff than the currently burning gas. Okay, is like a self-consumption system.
Yeah, okay, but les investissements, ils ont déjà été faits en fait sur les sites de production actuels. On sait que ça pollue, mais enfin ils sont alimentés effectivement par l'électricité. C'est ça que tu vas aussi essayer de comprendre en fait. Quelle est la facture d'électricité actuelle, c'est ça?
That's why I explain. I give an example of your house. That's because we already have a grid, the electricity grid on place on your house. We have you have a tariff, you we already have in place in the site we have as well. We already have on site all conditions to produce the energy. But currently, but why to invest even more in solar? We have to save money, comparing with the current situation, and that's the purpose. So we need to know the currently costs that we have of doing this, and if we add solar, okay, we will have an investment and we will have these savings, and these savings will be basically the cash flows that we will calculate to see the profitability of the system. Okay.
Et dans des pays où l'électricité coûte pas cher parce que justement il y a de grandes ressources énergétiques, est-ce qu'on va arriver à être moins cher à la fin? Est-ce que c'est facile d'être moins cher?
No. It will not be more expensive.
C'est ça, ce sera plus cher ou moins cher. It will be more expensive. It can be more expensive.
Less expensive, less expensive, of course. The purpose is
even in country where electricity cost is really low,
like France.
France, it used to be, I think, but no. But
Yeah.
En Algérie, est-ce que c'est cher en Algérie? C'est très bas. C'est bas en Algérie le coût de l'électricité, non?
Yes, but even the solar PV is very competitive nowadays. And don't forget one thing: we will, beside the cash flows of saving the burning the gas, we will use the gas that is not burned to export even more. Is another way of doing it.
Je pense que ce serait intéressant d'avoir un détail de ça pour voir comment, quel est le ROI en fait, hein, le return on investment de ce type de projet, parce que ça, je pense que ça peut être un véritable booster pour les investissements